I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work, the Yuwad and Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who may be watching today's episode.
We don't just have the physical body, we have the mental, emotional and spiritual body as well. So I'm really incorporating it all because we can't just focus on one to get long-lasting change.
I found now that I'm in a space where I can be really honest and I'm speaking my truth and I can hold that accountability, everything has drastically improved in my life.
So much clarity. It's like letting go of an identity and it's a rebirth of a new woman. Finding things that light you up because we are all unique and devoting to a practice every single day.
Welcome to Shit's Fucked, the podcast that gets real about addiction, mental health, and everything in between. I'm Paris and I spent 17 years battling the bottle, 10 years hooked on meth, and I also did a stint in the escorting world, which nearly cost me everything, including my life. I was lost, disconnected, and completely unrecognizable from who I once was. With both lived and professional experience, including qualifications in alcohol and other drugs, I'm here to share what I've learned along the way. Shit's Fucked isn't about offering the right way to recover. It's about showing that recovery is actually very personal. Every journey is unique, and this podcast brings you stories, insights, and practical tools to help you find what works for you. Now, just a disclaimer, we dive into some tough topics here, including addiction, all forms of abuse, trauma, mental illness, suicide, self-harm, and the realities of life in recovery. These discussions can be intense, so please take care while listening and just make sure you're in the right headspace too. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to the podcast. Your support actually helps us more than you know, and it's one of the best ways to keep these conversations going. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, Yani Foord.
Woo! Thanks, beautiful. And thanks for having me here. Super excited to co-create the space.
Yes, I'm very excited. I mean, we go way back, actually. I mean, we first met each other through Juice Plus, I think it was.
Yeah. So good. It's
so funny to think back. I know. I'm just even thinking of, working for Juice Plus and actually being involved with it. I'm like, wow, that was a long time ago. Not anything I'd be doing now.
No. Yeah, I literally just dipped my toe in. But I think I went to one of your events. One of my friends invited me to it. And, it's just so amazing, the synchronicities of when you meet people and then you always come back around at some point, right? And it's just, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. And then we pretty much reconnected again. I went to your retreat, your first one, which was awesome. It was such an experience as well. So, it's been really nice. Yeah. Being able to reconnect back in with you and now to have you on the show, how it keeps going.
Different chapters of our lives. It's really beautiful. And it's so nice to see you blossom, babe, and to step into your power. And it's been, and it's nice to be a guest on your show. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no worries. And so you're actually calling in from the UK, is that right?
I am in sunny England, and it is actually sunny today.
It is sunny. Wow.
Yeah, although the summer here has been one day rainy, one day sunny. But yeah, can't complain. Happy days.
Oh, awesome. Well, let's actually just dive straight on in, and I'm going to ask you your first question. So, Yani, can you tell us more about, your journey and what led you to start working with women on their path to self-love and nervous system regulation? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, beautiful. So it all starts with my own journey, right, of how to open up to love and my own journey with addiction and numbing out and not knowing how to regulate my nervous system or even knowing what was going on, like when I was going into a trauma response, a defense mechanism, numbing out. I was such a people pleaser, a good girl, But But deep down, I knew I was here for something more. I knew that life had so much more to give, and I wanted to experience that frequency. I wanted to experience love. I wanted to crack my heart open. And so by going on my own journey, like over the last 4.5 years, I've invested about $100,000 into my personal development, into my
Wow.
growth. And I will always continue doing that, right? I love learning. I love learning about myself and expanding and growing. And then I get to teach from that place of experience, of wisdom, because we can only take people to the depths of which we have gone ourselves, right?
So true.
So, yeah, so by overcoming my own challenges, I can now teach from that space, but also empower others to know that they are unique. No one is like you. I can give you the tools and techniques to help you open up your heart to love. But it's about utilizing what is best for you in every situation, because everyone is different.
Perfect. That was beautifully said. I love that. How inspiring as well. And it's beautiful that it's come from a place of, you were experiencing your own hardships with addiction recovery, and then you had to really look inward and explore that further and to provide yourself healing. So it kind of actually leads me into my next question, which is, how did you first get introduced to spiritual healing, or the more holistic approach, and what impact did it have on your own addiction recovery? Walk us through what that looked like.
Beautiful. So, like growing up, my parents were always kind of spiritual, like they were hippies, like it was around me, right? So, like my dad did singing circles and he was a music teacher, and then he's moved on to sound healing. And so it's always been in my vicinity. However, I personally didn't dive into it until about 6 years ago, So I've been in a sacred union for 8 years. A sacred union is just like your soulmate where you grow in love together. And when we met, we were partiers, right? And it was actually our relationship that was a catalyst to our growth. And so I remember my partner, he was like, "How are you happy all the time?" Because I was quite a bubbly, happy person, but I was 7 out of 10 happy in regards, like I had a good job, I had good friends, good income. However, I would still party on the weekends, right? I was still numbing out. And so it got me thinking, like, how my thought processes, how do I think positive all the time? Like when I see myself in the mirror, I'm a very positive person. And so I bought in the book, The Secret, and he had never read a book up until this stage,
Oh,
right? And he
wow.
was, how old is he? He was about 27 years old, never wrote a
No
book. And I was
shame.
like,
No shame.
yeah. It's so funny. But anyway, he then started going into the rabbit hole, right? Well, not the rabbit hole, like more expansive. And then he went on a group workshop, and then we both went into a energy healing workshop and learned how to work with energy, learned how to use the pendulum, and it just started on from there. And then we did like ancestral clearing and medicine journeys, and we were both like loving the journey of expansion, and helping each other grow. So that's when it started, and I was still using drugs at this time, right? So I was going
Yeah.
on the journey of finding out what else is out there, and knowing that deep down I had a problem, but I was still in so much denial at this stage, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like I just thought it was a part of me because I had done it for so long. I was addicted to crystal meth for 7 years before I stopped. When I moved to Canada, it was cocaine. And I remember saying one time, like, I don't see a life without drugs. Like it was such rooted in me. I just didn't see a way out, and I didn't see it as a problem. And
Mm.
so I started going on the journey, like listening to my soul. My soul was obviously guiding me, to dabble into energy healing and to dabble into what else life has to offer. And it wasn't until I went on a retreat, a 7-day retreat. It was $8,000. And we did deep breathwork journeys, like 3.5 hour breathwork journeys each day, and really tapping into the truth frequency.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I remember thinking in my mind, "Oh, I never lie." And then I'm like, oh, besides that one lie that I do crystal meth because my partner didn't know.
So
And I
little
was like,
white
oh,
lie.
yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's a pretty big lie. And then I realized that if I want to really expand in love and like have these higher states of joy, bliss, and pleasure, that I needed to be truthful with myself and then truthful with everyone around me. So as soon
So
as I
true.
started feeling my emotions via breath work, it activated the truth frequency. And after that retreat, I only got high one last time. And it was so funny because when I got high, I painted the water frequency of truth. So every word has its own frequency, and water underneath a microscope, when it has the word truth, is like a snowflake, right? And so I was painting that, and I was like, the truth frequency. And I was like, okay, this is like the last time. And it was literally a decision. And I broke up with my best friend like the next day. She was the only one that I was doing it with. I went home and I told
Mm.
my partner, and I asked for support, right? I asked for support for him to hold me while I feel all these barriers that I placed upon myself. And we did breath work every day for like 30 days. I just like really just alchemized it within my field. And it literally was a decision. Like it's a choice, right? As soon as I got truthful with myself that I was an addict, I realized that I needed support if I was ever going to overcome this once and for all. And that's what really helped me.
That's amazing. And it's funny, like I do relate to what you say as well. And especially in regards to, not being truthful or honest with yourself. I mean, I could probably vouch for most addicts who like to hide like in their shame and their guilt,
Yeah.
unfortunately, around,
Mhm.
what addiction can do to us and what it's doing to our loved ones as well. And, being in that place of denial and not really wanting to take that ownership and that accountability, because it's really hard to do that. It's really tough, especially when it's been a crutch for you for so
Mm.
long and it's a coping mechanism. It's making you feel better. So it's really hard
Mhm.
to say goodbye to something like that, and also to admit that even though it can make you feel good, and I'm using air quotes right now, it can make you feel good. There's such consequence with it, and harm comes with this. So yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing that you honestly just, had that moment and you decided like
Mm.
this is it, and I'm
Yeah.
not going back. Like incredible.
Mm. Yeah, it was
So good.
definitely an eye-opening realization. And I just had to take action from that space. And really, I had to push everything away that was a trigger for that. And unfortunately, my
Mm.
best friend of 6 years was that, right? Because we would always get high together. And a part of this journey is letting go of people who don't support your evolution or can't help you grow. And, I definitely probably didn't deal with it the best way
Mm.
because she was also an addict. And
Yeah.
so for her, it was like she's losing her support as well. However, the beautiful thing
Yeah.
was like about 2 years ago, she sent me this beautiful message saying, like, obviously I broke her heart, but saying if I didn't stop, she wouldn't have been able to. And she was sober for about 6 months when she sent me that message, and she was doing all these beautiful
Oh,
singing
amazing.
lessons and everything that she used to talk about when we were high, but never took action. And then now
Of course.
she could take action, yeah, because she was sober. And so it's like you need to lead by example. Like if you want your reality to change around you, you actually need to be the person that goes first.
100%. And we do forget that we are the creators of our own world. And that's something that I guess even just having that mindset shift for myself was, really massive, and recognizing that I don't have to stay in this place. It isn't, oh, my life is just what it is, which is what I used to say. I'd be like, it is what it is. This is just my life. And just,
Yeah.
just leaving it, and never taking action. But when I did finally like get
Mm.
into that space of accountability and
Mm.
wanting better for myself as well,
Yeah.
like just really wanting more out of life, as you even said. And I found now that I'm in a space where I can be really honest and I'm speaking my
Mm.
truth, and I can hold that accountability. Everything has drastically improved in my life, but there is hardships along the way. Like it is not
Of
easy
course.
going into recovery. And as you say, losing a friend, like I went through the same thing too. Like I had a best
Mhm.
friend that I would use with, and I had to say goodbye, and it was very, very hard on both of
Yeah.
us, and trying to stay strong through it too. Like, it can be quite a lonely road. So, it was great that you had the support from your partner as well. And so I wanted to ask you as well, what actually led you to your addiction? What actually
Mm,
got you started there?
yeah. So, like you said, addiction is the birthplace of shame, right? So
Yeah.
it's like going back into your story of where you first felt this emotion. And for me, my first trauma of like closing off my heart, because crystal meth is such a mind drug, right? It's not
Mm.
feeling from your heart space. You're trying to understand everything in the mental body. And so when I was 8 years old, my mum, she had a car accident. And leading
Mm.
up to this, like I thought I had like the best family, like it was really beautiful. They really supported self-expression, like so much love, and like I had a great childhood growing up. So when my mum had the car accident, she became brain damaged. And it was like my whole family fell apart because my dad became the carer. I went and stayed with my friend for 6 months. My sister went and stayed with her friend. So like the whole family split apart.
Oh,
And
wow.
we didn't like brain damage. This was about what, 25 years ago. Brain damage wasn't like they didn't know how to go about it really. And so
Mm.
like they said that she was going to wake up and be fine. And then she woke up and she couldn't remember us. And, and then her memory started to come back, but her short term memory wasn't there. And then she would confabulate. So that means that she would make up stories. Like, so her mind
Mm.
was the reality, whatever she chose to believe, right? And
Right.
so I had to then become like a parent. I had to grow up. And so I was helping her, and mum would have these like outbursts, and I was the only one that could calm her down. And my trauma response there was to numb out, right? It was overwhelming.
Mm.
I put on the good girl mask because everyone was going through so much. I just wanted to help out where I could. And so my nervous system was in freeze mode, which meant it was just like so much energy of overwhelm. And it's just like I chose to numb out, like check out.
Mm.
And so I really disliked my mum after that because I was like, how dare she leave us? Like I held so much resentment, even though she was the one that went through the trauma, right? She was the one that needed love and support in that time. And I held so much shame onto how I responded to that situation, even though we
Mm.
helped rehabilitate her. Well, I can't say that word for like 6 years after, and like even the doctor said she couldn't walk and things again, but because my dad was on it with osteos and alternative medicine, like she's fine now. She's just a different person, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so I held on a lot of shame because of that, and I put a barrier upon my heart because my heart was broken. And when you choose to numb out, you are not choosing to feel the root cause of the emotion, which was grief. Like I only cried probably twice, right? Once when it first
Right.
happened, and then like the second time when me and my sister we like wrote a story about our own experience, and we're going through sharing our stories, and we're both crying. And so twice of grief is just not enough. There was so much more there. And on my journey of personal development, I have cracked open and felt so much grief from back then. And it's like
Mm.
there's so many layers as well. It's like, oh, it's still back there that I have to open up and feel more. And every time I crack open another layer, it's just like, wow, there was so much suppressed emotion that I didn't allow myself to feel then and there.
Mm.
And, you know, on the journey of loving yourself, you need to feel your suppressed emotions throughout your entire life journey. And I magnetize situations in my life because of that instant, because I didn't give myself the time and space to feel. And, then shame also attracted, like, I was raped when I was 17 as well. And it's like you're taking full responsibility for how everything shows up in your life. And your frequency, your energy is that magnetism, right?
Mm.
And so that was another instance. And then I was so against drugs. And then I moved to London and I was introduced to drugs. And I was like, oh, this works so much better with my body than alcohol. Because I used to binge drink and get blind drunk, vomit everywhere, be sick the whole next day, like vomiting up bile acid. Like it was hectic, not knowing when to stop, like wanting to like get that way, like really not
Yes. Yeah.
caring. And so drugs was like a whole new world because I was able to be aware of everything that happened.
I mean, you've shared a lot. Thank you so much for that. I mean, far out. I can't even begin to imagine how you must have been feeling. I mean, just to even hold that shame that you were feeling
Mm,
for so long, like,
yeah.
that even hurt my heart to hear that, and it's
Mm,
painful. And I mean, we're all trying to suppress emotions and numb ourselves out. Life throws us some real awful hurdles and comes with so much pain. And that's the main reason I even went into addiction, was so I
mm,
couldn't feel pain anymore. Like it was
yeah.
just too hard. And I yeah. It's honestly, I don't even know where I was going with that.
But the good thing is, the good thing is that shame can't survive in the light, right?
No,
So
no.
shame grows with secrecy, with judgment, and that's
Yes.
where addiction is born from. But as soon as we shed light upon it, like speak our truth, right? It alchemizes, ask for support, like that's how shame can alchemize. So that's a good thing about it.
And that's so true. It's definitely been my experience. Like I definitely have more to work through. I mean, the work is never ending though, and I'm sure you can agree.
Yeah.
It's There's definitely things that I know I've suppressed even further that I'm haven't even touched with a 10-foot pole yet. So it's scary, it's scary. But I'm
Yeah.
also like, once I move through it, just seeing how far I've come and having to move through, certain other aspects already, and seeing what that's brought me, like moving into that light as well, as you say. And
Mm.
just having my whole life change. It once was so drama filled. There was a lot of secrecy, like drama filled. Oh my God. So much secrecy, and just, attracting negative things that just did
Mhm.
not serve me at all, that were
Yeah.
clearly indicators that I was on the wrong path.
Yeah, yeah. Same, same. Oh, been there.
Oh my God. I can't even tell you. I honestly felt like my life was what is, like a soap, like a bloody
Yeah.
soap. Like Bold and the
Yeah.
Beautiful, like just something ridiculous. There was just always something so dumb and stupid
Yeah,
going on. And
yeah.
I was like, why? Why is this happening? But it's
Oh,
it's that's
I
what
feel
happens
you,
when we're
babe.
not walking, like, in our truth and in our light. And it's
Mm.
yeah, I've definitely seen the other side of it now, as are you, and putting in that hard work. Like it's just, yeah, it's hard and it's tough and it's painful, but it's so rewarding. I can't
Mm.
even tell you how grateful I am for the life that I have now, and for just being brave enough to move through that hard shit.
Mhm.
Like, fucking good on you,
100%.
Paris.
Literally, it's like you can feel high on life, and
Yes.
true happiness and that higher states of joy and bliss and peace, within your
Yes.
being, actually
Oh,
feeling
absolutely.
stillness within your body.
Yes.
Because I'm always like a go, 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 do, do, do. And that's, I think why we liked crack as well, because it's like you're so stimulated to do so much. And it's
Yep.
like the biggest resistance is being, right? Being in the
Mhm.
stillness and being with yourself, because we were avoiding something, we were running away.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as you can just like be with yourself and allow the emotion to come to the surface, to be alchemized, to feel the pain or to feel anything, it actually feels pleasurable when you let it go, because you feel so
Yes.
much lighter and freer and you're cracked open to that love within your being. And it's just really rewarding. Yeah.
It is. It is. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, what I wanted to ask as well was, can you describe for our listeners what your life was like during, like, the peak of your meth addiction? I mean, we just touched on some of the drama that can happen, but how did it affect, like, your daily routine and your
Yeah.
relationship? So, what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So the peak was actually at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I moved in with someone who was a dealer, and I didn't know that this at the time until I moved in. And so we were doing it like Friday to Sunday, and then probably once during the week. So 4 or 5 days out of a 7-day week, right? And it just became like I was living for the nights and I was going to work, still functioning. I was a travel agent at the time, and this happened for about 3 months, right?
Mm.
And what happened was my boss actually asking me, "Hey, Yanni, is everything okay? You're not your usually bubble self, right?" And it was
Mm.
that sentence which like alarm bells rang off. I was like, oh, this is actually affecting my personality. This is actually affecting my life, on how
Mm.
I show up, right? Because I was usually always like outgoing and bubbly. And then all of a sudden I became monotone or like flat during the day because I wasn't high. And
Yeah.
so that was like 3 months. And then I went to India for a month, cold turkey. And then I came back and I moved out, but I was still doing it probably like once a week, right?
Yeah.
And because I wasn't doing it as often as when I first started, this is where I started tricking myself into I wasn't an addict because I was only doing it once a week and then like once every 2 weeks, and I was getting less and less, but it was still had hooks in me, and it still called me forward to reward myself. This is how I chose to reward myself. And because I didn't know how else to feel good, right? How else
Yes. Yeah.
to experience life through that heart space, through that joy. And a lot of it was as well like community. Like I would go out and I would party. I love house music. However, like a lot of people there and like sober when you go to certain venues as well. Because I
Mm.
have gone back into some venues and being that sober person and actually finding more sober people, like because we come for the music, and then finding ecstatic dances where it's drug and alcohol free. And so like you don't have to give up the music. And a part of my journey was like the community vibes and not wanting to go to sleep because not wanting the
Mm.
night to end, right? And so yeah, it affected my life, as in like I wasn't present during work. It just like revolved around it. Or anytime I felt bad, like sad, I wanted that quick fix. Like I never allowed myself to be sad. Like I was
Mm.
like, oh, let's just go get high. Like it was such a quick fix of avoiding how I was feeling and choosing to numb out. And so, yeah, it really did affect my well being. I was very much living in my mental state. And even though I probably looked happy on the outside, I was definitely, like I said, a good girl, a people pleaser. Like I had fun all the time. And I still was like outgoing and being in the community, but my heart was closed. Like deep intimacy scared me so much, not knowing
Mm.
that. But like I would just be in my mental body, like loving the conversations, but not actually feeling and dropping deep in my body.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting that you use the word like I rewarded myself, because
Mm,
it's funny, like it impacts the reward system, right? And we do see it as a reward, like,
yeah.
and the amount of dopamine that floods our
Mm.
brains when we have a drug like meth, it's unreal, and it becomes so addictive. Like we get addicted to that pleasure feeling. So
Yeah.
it is essentially an award, and it is a quick fix. Like, it's just boom, done. And
Yeah.
this is not to glamorize it or to make
Mm-mm.
it seem like it's a good thing. Like, there is some serious consequences
Mm.
that come with that. And you even expressing that you were, it was starting to affect you at work, and like, you were becoming a bit more monotone and like flat.
Mhm.
That's because your dopamine receptors are being impacted, and
Yeah.
it's just really hard to find joy and pleasure,
Mm.
once they've been flooded and then depleted like that. It's, yeah,
100%.
it's got some really really harsh physical consequences on our brains, like in particular, that even for myself, like I'm what, almost 2 years sober, And I've been learning so much just about how that drug impacts your brain. And
Mhm.
it's tough because when you first go through recovery as well, you do kind of take like a dip, like things do feel dull and boring, and you're a bit like,
Mm.
oh, like this life was just so much better. Like back there, like this is so plain and like plain
Mm.
Jane. I'm not here for it. But that changes. That
Yeah.
your brain heals over time, and then you do start to get that joy. And I find the joy comes back tenfold because you
Mm.
really start to gain
Yeah.
value for
Mm.
life. You really start to see the beauty. You create a lot more gratefulness and gratitude in your heart for what
Yeah.
you've been through and what you've come out of. That it just, the feelings that I have now of joy are just
Yeah.
nothing in comparison to what I would feel when I was in active addiction.
100%. 100%. And like the next day, we remember the good times, but remember the next day we're like complete cabbages. Like our
Oh,
brain function
so
doesn't work.
bad.
Like actually trying to articulate a sentence together, like it actually does some sort of brain damage to us,
It does.
right?
It does.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so,
Even I was
yeah,
going
you
to
go.
say, even for me, like I've still got cognitive issues from it because
Mm,
it's really impacted me. But however, again, it is healing. I am seeing the differences. I mean, I used to write like messages to people, and I used to repeat words constantly throughout like one paragraph. I would double up like many, many words. And then now I
mm,
don't really do that. But that was a real thing for like a good year
mm.
or two. And
Yeah.
now my recall is just horrendous. Like it's not good. I have to get people to prompt me. I'm like, if they'll be like, "Oh, you remember when I told you this?" I'm like, "You're gonna have to throw me like another couple of
Yeah.
words for me to be able to pull this out of my
Yeah.
memory bank." Like I just, yeah. But again, so grateful for the body's ability to heal,
Oh,
and that we
we can
can come
heal
back from it.
ourselves,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of what I teach, like creating new neurological pathways within our brain
Yes.
that help us reach our highest
Awesome.
potential. Um, and you can do BNNF, like brain derived neurofactor, and that's like our brain glue. And there's so many things. And like I do a 3-day water fast every 3 months. After
Okay.
72 hours of fasting, your body creates new stem cells, so you'll actually
Right.
go to wherever the body needs healing, right? So wherever the organ
Yeah.
damage or anything internal, the body knows, it's super smart. Whatever it needs the most, it will go there. So you need to do a fast probably for about like 85 hours at least, like 3.5 days is what I usually go for, because it's after that 72-hour mark, which is the most beneficial. And I
Yeah.
don't
Wow.
recommend doing a water fast unless you have supervision. Like, I did juice fasters before doing a water fast, and there's a protocol of what to give up prior to the fast and then how to add nutrition after the fast, because that's the most important part, because your gut
Yes.
biome is starting afresh. But yeah, I take all my clients through a water fast for their first water fast, and it's literally like so much clarity. It's like letting go of an identity, and it's a rebirth of a new woman. It's like halfway, the pivotal point of letting go of anything that was like still holding on, and they just come out rebirthed. It's really beautiful.
That's amazing. So I've had some friends who've done water fasting, and they highly recommend it. I think yeah, I don't know. I never gave it a thought to actually try it, even though I
Mm.
completely understand the benefits of it, and why it would be really good to give it a go. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I need to touch base with
Ooh,
you later about that.
yeah. This is the sign. Because like the food is a suppressant as well, right? And a lot of
Yeah.
people are addicted to food or overeating. And
Yeah.
as soon as we take food away from the equation, then we allow the emotions to come up to the surface as well. There's another layer of being with yourself, allowing your body to heal. Like during that time, you need to rest and just like be with whatever comes to the surface, because it is healing. Like your emotions will come
Mm.
up to the surface. It's a mental game as well. You'll, like, as
Yes.
parasites or candida are dying, they'll be like, I'm hungry, feed me, I'm hungry. But really, you can last like 21 days and longer with just water. So it's really just a
Wow.
mental game of, I've got this, let's feel any emotions that are coming to the surface be transmuted. I'm going to hold myself through it, and just breathe into the discomfort.
Yeah, and I think that's what it would also be really good for, is exposing that discomfort and learning how to move through it as
Yeah.
well. So that brings such discipline too. So I think that's definitely something I'm considering now that we're talking
Yeah.
about it. I'm like, yes, this is a good idea. Let's
Yeah,
level up
plant
a
the
bit.
seed. Yep.
All right, listen up, legends. If you're looking to experience the real Western Australia, there's no better way than with Why Not Bus, who is one of our sponsors. I've actually been on their tour, and let me tell you, it is awesome vibes, epic adventures, and I made lifelong friends. We're talking snorkeling with sea lions, manta rays, whale sharks, camping under the stars, and taking your time to enjoy the beauty of WA. Use my discount code PARIS2025 and get $300 off your next tour. Go to www.whynotbus.com.au. Love your work.
Love it.
Your work. Now, I wanted to kind of go back to what we were talking about in regards to your addiction. So we were talking a little bit about like secrecy and hiding things from people. So how did you manage to keep your addiction hidden from your loved ones, and including your partner who you were with at the time? And what was it like for you to be living with that secret?
Yeah, so anytime I would go out with my best friend, right? And he knew that like I would take MDMA and whatnot. So it was like I was out all night no matter what. And he did know deep down, like every time I came back, he would ask me, he was like, "Oh, what did you take?" And I'd be like, "Oh, just MDMA and some Dexies," like lie. And every time I did lie, like I could feel my body contract. Like my heart was like, "Ugh," like you're creating another barrier. And, you could definitely feel that within our relationship, because first you need to be penetrated with the truth frequency before you allow love in. So I wasn't allowing him to fully love me, like as in I wasn't receiving his love fully because I wasn't loving myself. And we can only receive what we have given ourselves, and we can only give what we have embodied ourselves, right? Because it's about our personal energetic frequency. And so it definitely created a barrier of how deep we could go within our relationship.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, it was my only lie for him, and it was my only lie, well, for everything, right? And that's why I was in denial, because I was such a good girl. I really believed I was a good girl. It definitely created more shame within my body. But because I was choosing to numb out, I would always trick myself that it was okay, until I really got honest and truthful with myself first.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And so when you did step into that space of, really being in your truth and taking that ownership of it, essentially, how did you go about actually, telling people like, hey, this is what's going on? How did they react? How did you manage that? What happened?
So the truth really does set you free, right? So like I said, the last night I got high, came home, slept, told my partner straight away, because I was literally, the decision was made. And then I told my partner straight away. He went through the motions. Like first he was supportive, and then his woundings come up of being betrayed, being untrusted, and then all the questions like, did you do anything else? Like, have you cheated on me? Like, because once the trust is broken, it's like,
Of course.
what else have you been lying about, right? And I was like, no, nothing like that. Like literally, I've been doing it every time I was with this person, because he was like, how often, right? And I was like, every time I slept over this person's house, that's when we did it, right? Anytime I didn't come home, that's when we did it. And so it was like, I can't count, but it was probably like once a month at least, right? At this stage of because I can kind of at this stage wanted to, but didn't know how to, or I was still in that denial phase. And then as soon as like the truth frequency penetrated me, told my partner, And then I think there was a family chat, and I think I told my family, but they all already had their ideas as well
Yeah, right.
because it's been within our family. And so it was kind of like swept under the rug of like, at least you're okay type thing. And then my biggest release was when I went to Vipassana, which is a 10-day silent retreat. And during meditation, it channeled through that I needed to tell everybody, right? And so I was like, okay, because this is it still had a hold on me. And stepping
Mm.
into this work, I'm all about the truth. I can't have any secrets. My life is online. Like it's just liberating that way because, to help others, I need to tell them how I've helped myself, and there's no secrets of me. So at that point, as soon as I finished my retreat, um, I typed up a post and I posted it on Facebook. And I was like, I used to be addicted to crystal meth, and in Canada it was cocaine. And I told my story. And because it was such an edge for me, when we choose our challenge, we are always met with support. So,
Mm.
because it was an edge for me, because it was a challenge, as soon as I posted on Facebook, I had so much support. Like, it was over like 300 likes and comments, and like people just saying brave, or like they were shocked because like my life didn't look like whatever an addict is supposed to look like. I don't know. People were just shocked. Like, is there a
Yeah.
specific way? Like, people can hide a lot of things. And so as soon as I set myself free, that was when I was like, okay, I have nothing to hide, like nothing to prove, nothing to fix, nothing to hide. This is a part of my story. And now I move on.
Now, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it is so liberating as well when you can finally tell people what's happened. I mean, even for myself and my own journey through the podcast, I remember before I launched this podcast, I would make some posts like here and there on Facebook. They always got a lot of traction, but I was definitely getting some negative responses, more from family, because they were like,
Mm,
don't put your life online. Don't tell everyone like you're an addict. Mainly because they were trying to be protective, of course. Like, it was coming
of
from a
course.
place of care and, I guess fear that it was going to impact me in a professional space as well, because I was very much in the corporate world. But now it's funny, like I've got the podcast and like literally everything is out there, just like yourself. Like, there are no secrets. Like, I could
Yeah.
have people come out, and I've hurt many people. I've hurt many people through my time as an addict who would want to take vengeance and be like, well, guess what she did? She did this. Already told everyone. Or they already know. Like, it's
Yeah,
powerless. Like, the amount
literally.
the amount of times I've even been threatened to be
Mm,
exposed, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what what you think you're exposing. Like,
yeah,
everything is out, everything.
yeah.
So, kudos to
And
you,
it's
mate. I
so
hope
much
you feel better.
freedom, isn't it? Like, no one
It
can have a
is.
hold on you. Like, it's just like, I'm
Yes.
free. Like, I love who I am. This is a part of my journey. I have no shame
Yes.
on my story.
Yes.
Like, that's beautiful, babe.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it's taken a while to get here. Like, I mean,
Mm,
even just recently kind of announcing a bit more often that I wasn't escorting. That was
yeah.
something I kind of kept a little bit closer to my chest, because I was
Mm,
again probably scared of the shame and the guilt, and even just what people will think of me, and
mm.
just really struggling to have those conversations, because I'm like, oh, it's just more lies that I'm like having to unveil. Oh God.
Yeah. Let it all out. Freedom.
I know, but
So
it's
good.
it's good, but it's been hard. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hurt some people. It's hurt some people. The truth. I mean, your partner experienced that hurt.
Mm,
Going through his own emotions with it, which I totally can understand. I had a lot of loved ones go through their own emotions with it, and
mm,
I had some friends even have to be like, this is a lot. It's a bit too much for me. Like, it sucks that you were lying to me this whole time. Can't meet you where you are right now, and I had to learn to be okay with that too. So it's such a journey to even understand the impact that you have on loved ones through it too,
mm.
which kind of leads me actually perfectly into my next question. Can you talk about the process of rebuilding trust, like with your partner and any others after, the years of hiding everything and, everything's out? How did you go
Yeah.
about, helping them heal as well as yourself?
So I feel like the journey of trust is learning how to trust yourself
Yeah.
and going on the devotion to become the best version of yourself. And actions speak louder than words. So if you're really devoted to a truthful life and you're devoted to opening up your heart to love, then people will feel your energy and your frequency of who you are becoming, right? And
Mm.
so it's like how you show up for yourself every single day behind closed doors, not just around your
Yes.
community, not just around your partner. Like, they're the unveiling. It's like what you see is what you get. And nothing speaks louder than energy feels, right? And so people will learn to trust you when you learn to trust yourself and when you go
Mm.
on that journey of trust, because going down addictions, it's a form of sabotage and harm towards your body.
Mm.
And
Yes.
when you're doing actions out of space of love, right? People can feel that. People can see your
Absolutely.
changes, your actual energy shifts, like the way that you look, the way that you shine. And so trust is built by the action that you take.
Oh, I honestly couldn't have said that better myself, because that's a common thing people ask me as well, like who've come through the podcast who are struggling, who have damaged their relationships with other loved ones, and they've achieved sobriety now, but like, whoa, like there's this mess and all this carnage around me that I need to sort out. Like, I don't know why, people aren't really, still accepting of me. Like, people are still
Mm,
angry with me. Like, how do I navigate through this? And it's exactly as you said. Like, honestly, that action, that's what
yeah.
people, when they start to see that action, it makes you more of a safe person to them. So when they see you
Yes.
consistently doing it, and again, as you say, like, it doesn't have to be like in front of people all the time, but what you're doing behind closed doors and how you're
Mm,
showing up every single day and your intent. Oh my gosh. And it's true. Your energy does shift, like the way you're perceived. Like it's
100%.
completely different. Like I look back on photos and videos of myself and I'm like, wow, like I can't even can't even
Yeah.
recognize that person. Like, who is she?
Yeah, same. It's usually like it's like glossed over. It's like you're not really
Yes.
actually present. You're
Yeah,
not
no,
probably
not at all.
embodied, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, when you choose yourself, then you'll just radiate out that love, that self-love.
Yes.
And you
And it
can
takes
give from your
time.
overflowing cup.
Yes, and as I was gonna say, it takes time. Like it takes time
Mhm.
to build that trust as well. So, I've had a couple of listeners who've, questioned, how long can it take? I mean, it's not really up to you. It's up to them. It's
Yeah.
however long, it takes them to kind of make, feel that you're a safe person again, and that,
Mm,
you're kind of moving through your own healing, and
yeah.
you're doing better by yourself, and or better, what's the word, better to yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I reckon like the best thing that you can do if you have a relationship that is damaged is to open up a truthful conversation, right?
Yes.
And like ask for permission to be like, hey, like, when's a good time for us to sit down and like
Mm.
open up how you're feeling, how I'm feeling, what you need from me, right? And because no one is
Yes.
a mind reader, no one knows what each other needs. And like to
Yep.
overcome those barriers, you need to create that safe space. So make sure
Mm.
that you're in a space where you're both not going to be disturbed, and actually create that time and space for your relationship, right? Whether that be
Yep.
your friendships, whether that be for your family, whatever it is, and allow everyone's expression to come on board. No blaming. A truthful
Yes.
conversation is about taking full responsibility for how you feel. So it's like,
Mm.
I feel, and then speak from that space. It's not you made me feel. No,
Yes.
because how you feel was already within you. The
Mm.
situation triggered that emotion, which was already within you. So it's actually just activating an emotion for you to transmute. And so it's just always taking responsibility. Otherwise, the conversation will turn into an argument and no one's listening, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So fully be in that space of a vulnerability and taking
Yes.
responsibility for how you live your life and how certain situations have affected you, but knowing
Yeah.
it was already within you always.
And I think that's really good advice. I mean,
Mm.
it's really hard to do that, but again, it is so healing, like not only for you, but for the other person involved. And I think
Yeah.
it's yeah, it creates huge shifts between not yourself, that person too, and putting yourselves on the road to healing and moving
Yeah.
forward quite drastically. And yeah, it's not easy. I've done that a lot myself, like where I've sent big messages to people and be like, look, like I've realized that I might have done this and this and this, and maybe it made you feel this way. I don't know because you haven't told me, but I could see that it could have made you feel that way, and I am sorry, and
Mm.
if I ever did anything that did hurt you, like I profusely apologize, and I hope you're well, and I understand as well if you also don't want to have anything to do with me
Mm.
now. Like, I respect that too. So yeah,
Yeah.
just meeting people where they are as well. I
Mm.
think that's another thing to consider when you
Yeah.
start opening up to people too, is that sometimes some people may not be ready to receive it as well, and that's
Mhm.
okay too. Like, and learning
Yeah.
how to move through that, and who knows, like give it time. They might not be ready now, but they could be later.
Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful, babe. 100%. And forgiveness is key as well
Yeah.
in both parties. Forgive for
Yes.
yourself, forgiveness for others, because if you hold on to resentment or any emotion, anger, grief, what it actually brings more detrimental for your own body, your own harm to yourself. So you don't
Mm.
necessarily have to be around that person, but you can forgive and let go and have whatever healthy boundaries you choose moving forward.
Yeah, perfectly said. Perfectly said. Beautifully said. What is happening with my words today? Oh my goodness.
I love it.
So, how do you maintain your sobriety now? Like, do you have any particular
Mm.
strategies, or are you just like, do you have just a particular lifestyle set up now that
Mm.
helps you maintain it? Walk us through that.
Yeah. So it's literally about my daily devotions, yeah? And it's not for sobriety, it's for my soul evolution, it's for my expansion. It's because I want to feel higher states of joy, bliss, pleasure within my being. And I know by doing my daily practices, it gets me to this state. It's also welcoming in my allness, like the humanness of our full spectrum of when my body brings up an emotion to be felt, I feel the emotion then and there. That is emotional intelligence, right? So we know when we have grief, like grief is in the heart. If you feel a lump in your throat and you swallow it down, that is you suppressing your emotions. So
Mm.
allowing for the tears to come to the surface. If you're snappy or have condescending tone, speaking down to someone, that is suppressed rage. So it's like when we feel these symptoms come to the surface, taking ourselves into our own space, and like I take myself through a rage release process, and I give myself that space to feel my emotion because it came to the surface to be felt, right? And so
Mm.
daily devotions include for me breath work, connecting into God, which is divine source, connecting into my soul, my higher self, breathing into my heart, grounding it into Mother Earth, and setting my intention for the day. Because whatever we choose to put out is what we can receive. So it's like, how do I desire to feel? What do I want to achieve for the day? But then letting go of all expectations because the divine plan is the divine plan. And it's just letting go of control and trust and surrender. The divine feminine flow is within trust and surrender. And so it's like allowing or whatever is for you to present itself, and knowing that whatever challenges you're faced with, because we will always have challenges, what changes is how we respond to them, how we
Yeah.
choose to overcome them. Because now we've got all these tools and techniques that we can transmute them like that. And we have new perceptions of how, like, problem solving. It's like, we can overcome this easily without kicking and screaming. We can actually do it with joy and play. It's like, okay, challenge accepted. Let's do this. And whenever we come across a barrier of resistance, which we always do when we hit a higher threshold of, for me, it's like when I hit peak happiness, right? I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel safe within my body to receive that next level of joy. It doesn't feel safe within my body to receive that next level of intimacy. So whenever I hit the threshold, I need to be with myself and I need to expand my capacity to receive. I need to expand and feel the emotions which are blocking me to receive that higher level. Because the truth of who we are is we are made up of love and light. That is at our core, right? And so, how can we choose to embody our soul essence? By receiving the truth of who we are, is by receiving more love and light within our being and alchemizing any density, any stuck emotions. And I love bringing play. Like, I love going walking. I love dancing. I will dance to a song most days because it just gets me in my body. It brings up that play. And yeah, so it's like finding things that light you up because we are all unique, and devoting to a practice every single day because consistency is key. It takes 30 days for us to create a new belief system, and then it takes 67 days for us to create a new habit, right? Because a habit then turns into a way of living. And I remember when my morning practices used to feel like a chore, and I used to make myself do it. And now it's my way of life because I know the benefits of doing it. It's my beautiful practice. And I know that I'm my own pillar of light. I'm my sovereign being. So why wouldn't I choose to connect to my soul and receive the insights every day, right? Because when I choose to come from heart space first, my day will flow. And I am coming from my heart and not my mind.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much
Mm.
for sharing that. And I
Yeah.
I think that's something that I definitely still need to even work on myself. I mean, I do love spiritual practices, and I like to implement them in my day. But then I get, and I'm sure this is like a lot of other people who are probably listening to this as well. You get distracted, or you're like, I don't have time, and like the time thing, that's a big one.
Mm.
But that's an excuse. That's an excuse, and I really
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
actually prioritize that and make that a
Mm.
part of my day to day. Because
Yeah.
what I was hearing from all of that as well is, the biggest thing out of that, I was finding that, you really allow yourself to feel. You're not running
Yes.
away from anything anymore. Like, you're
Mm-mm.
not, this is why you're not having to lean on any crutches or other coping mechanisms, because you are just sitting and being with yourself and allowing yourself to move through all of this. And, when the challenges do arise, allowing
Mm.
yourself to expand further and, like,
Yeah.
challenge yourself further there. Like, I think that's,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's where everybody should be. It
Mm.
takes a while to get there, but it's a
100%, right?
beautiful space to be in.
And it's just taking one step at a time. Like, I
Yes.
teach all my clients how to live a life of a ceremony, how to set themselves up with success, with morning and evening rituals and all that. But it's like, if you miss out a couple of days, don't make it mean like guilt, right? Because it's
Yes.
the emotion that you attach onto the situation which blocks you, right?
Yes.
If you just allow it to me, I'm doing my best that I can. And today is one of those days where I'm not going to do my morning practices, or like I've woken up a bit
Yeah.
late, or I slept through my alarm. So it's just like, it's okay. It's okay. You're
Yeah.
human and you're doing the best that you can. Just tomorrow, start again, one step at a time, right? So yeah, and same with like food, right? When we eat, say if you eat sugar, right? And so I still have ice cream every now and then. And I was looking at the box the other day, and it was like 26 grams of sugar in this Magnum ice cream. And I was like, I'm
Whoa.
still gonna eat it. Yes, so much sugar. And I don't eat
Yeah.
refined sugar, right? As
Yeah.
soon as I eat refined sugar, I get an instant headache. But in this moment, I still ate it, but I enjoyed every bite. I was taking it in. I was making it mean pleasure, right? And not guilt or shame, or like, I had the awareness of, yes, refined sugar is bad, but I'm bringing it and alchemizing it in with pleasure. And I know that I will intermediate fast, and I do so much health things that get rid of like heavy metals and sugar
Of
within the body.
course.
I was like, I'm going to allow this for myself right now because it's what I
Yeah.
want, and it's from my highest good right now. right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's whatever you make it mean is what it means, because our belief systems create our external and internal realities, right? So
And I
yeah.
think that's like, yeah, it's perfectly said. Like, why do I keep saying perfectly said? Such a
Perfectly
weird
said,
phrase.
darling.
Perfectly said. Well done.
It's English. It's because I'm in England, darling.
That's what it is. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
so good.
Well, I gotta say, I really liked it, what you mentioned in regards to, like, not beating yourself up, like
Mhm.
if you don't do it, because yeah, you're gonna have days when you're, yeah, maybe a bit more tired, a bit more drained, you don't have the energy for it. But then maybe you incorporate something that is gonna still serve you and meet you where you are that day as
Yeah,
well. But yeah, it takes time to learn what all those tools are and what that looks like
yeah,
for you as an individual, because as you said,
100%.
everyone is so unique
Yeah.
as well.
And that's like, I have a list of self-love practices. So like, if on those days, like, if you want to rest more, there's like reading a book, or it's having a hot bath, or going for a stroll, or, it's finding where your energy is at 100%
Yeah.
and meeting yourself there. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So
Hmm.
tell us a little bit more about that, like your services, and
Mm,
yeah, tell us more.
yeah. Beautiful. So I'm a women's empowerment coach, and I help women step out of their overthinking mind and to lead from their heart space, to connect to their feminine essence, their divine feminine flow, and magnetize their desires from that space, right? Connecting to their life force energy, and to live a life of optimum health. Health is broken down into mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and physical health, right? Because that's all of our bodies. We don't just have the physical body, we have the mental, emotional, and spiritual body as well. So I'm really incorporating it all, because we can't just focus on one to get long lasting change. Yeah.
Yes, so true.
So I help you like remember the truth of who you are, and that's your unique soul expression. And so that's why I call myself an empowerment coach, not a life coach, because I help you connect in with your intuition, with your higher self, with your soul. So you receive the insights, you receive the downloads, and then you can take action from that space. I'm not telling you what to do. Your soul gives you the insights of what's best for you moving forward. And so it's like you will always be your own oracle. You'll always be your own channel, and you will learn to trust yourself, because that was my own journey of learning to trust myself, right? There's so much out there these days, there's so much knowledge. And so it's like really anchoring back into you, what is for you. And only you know that from your soul. And I help you to open up your heart to love, right? And how do we open up to love? We need to feel our emotions. We need to feel all the barriers that we have placed upon our heart, the pain, the hurts of the past. And we only feel when we feel safe to go there, right? And so I create beautiful safe spaces for you to feel your rage, because first you need to feel the rage, because that's the top emotion. Then it's fear, then it's grief, then it's guilt, and then it's shame. Shame is the lowest frequency on the frequency chart. But to get to the root cause of shame, first you need to go through the other emotions to get to the root cause. And so, because our throat is connected to our yoni via our vagus nerve, via accessing your rage, you're actually expressing all parts of yourself, your fullest expression, and you're alchemizing any stuck energy connected to your sexual energy as well from your yoni. And so it goes hand in hand when we take up space in a healthy manner and express ourselves. Then after rage, you can drop into the grief, into your heart, and actually connect to that life force energy from within. And I love teaching embodiment practices. So it's like you don't come to me to be healed, you heal yourself, right? And so I will teach you the tools and techniques, and I'll hold a safe space for you to alchemize the density from within your field. And you'll always have these embodiment practices to take yourself through past our sessions, right? Because it's about how you can set yourself up for success for your entire life. Like, yeah. And so about connecting into more divine feminine practices as well, like yoni steaming, womb healing, through massage, through activations, a lot of breath work to connect into your body. Like I said before, the mental body, so creating new neurological pathways that help you reach your highest potential. And water fasting, like I said before, really bringing all your bodies into one for long lasting change. And yeah, it's just so rewarding to see the transformation of women, because I do like 3 or 6 month one-to-one mentorships. And usually around the 6 week mark, the first 6 weeks is the purge. It's the clearing out of all the density. And then at the halfway mark, that's when I get you to do a water fast to help clear and cleanse any last residue. And then we go into the desires. Then we are stepping into what it is that you are truly here to do in this lifetime. Like, what brings you true happiness and joy. And it's starting to get curious of what lights you up. And it's like the becoming, the identity shift of the woman that you get to be. And it's really beautiful and rewarding to see the transformation, because I see it. It's not like after the 3 or 6 months, then you transform. No. It's like each session, layers upon layers get revealed. And yeah, it's like instantaneous over consistency, if you know what I mean. Like, I can see the shift straight away. And then it's the embodiment that they do, because I give them home play, like I said, daily devotions. And so I see how they show up for themselves each day and the transformation that it brings.
That sounds fucking amazing.
Whoop,
As I
whoop.
listen, I'm like, wow, like this just sounds so goddamn good and so liberating and just so fulfilling. Wow.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it really reminded me as well of that quote, because I love that, you know, you're really teaching others, you know, how to serve themselves and to heal themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like that quote, what is it? Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach him how to fish and you'll feed him for a lifetime. Like, that is honestly, that was the first thing that came to mind as I was listening to all of this.
But it's so true, right? And at the beginning of my journey, I was just doing energy healing, and people would come to me and I would heal them during the session, but they weren't getting the full transformation, because it's like, how do they then help themselves pass this session?
Of
Like,
course,
it's really
yes.
disempowering. So then you teach them how to do it themselves, and there you go.
So good. And would you mind actually sharing with us, like, and particularly for listeners who might be interested in your services, what are the costs involved? If you want to share, you don't have to.
Of course.
And where can people contact you to get engaged with these services?
Beautiful. So at the moment, I'm running Devotion, which is a 4 month group journey. And anyone listening to the podcast, I'm actually going to give you a $1,250 part scholarship to go off this 4 month group journey. So it's like weekly calls to help you transform. And then you've got unlimited messenger support, which is super important, because things are going to come up throughout the week. And it's so important to give yourself the space to speak into what is present for you while you're in it, to be witnessed in your allness, right? And so I love the voice note support. And we have 1 day a month off for integration as well. And so the 4 month group journey is usually $4,950 Australian, but with the part scholarship, it's $3,700. I have payment plans available for $100 a week. Yeah. So what I would get you to do is look at your bank statement, right? And see where you're currently spending your money, because where you spend your money is what you truly value. And look at where you can sacrifice something, because if you don't make sacrifices towards what you desire becomes a sacrifice. So it's like, if you
So
want
true.
to value personal development and growth and expansion, it's like, okay, what in my current lifestyle doesn't support that? Maybe it's smoking, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's eating out once a week, maybe it's new clothes, or maybe it's holidays, because these are all quick fixes. They make you feel good for a moment, but it's not life-changing results. Yeah. So if you can find $100 where you can redirect that into your personal development, then there is no excuse for you to start the journey of becoming the best version of yourself. Now, if group doesn't feel like the space for you, I usually only have intimate spaces of 8 women inside group. However, if you want one-to-one support, then I do have the 3-month or 6-month option. Same payment plan of $100 a week. However, working with me one-to-one for 3 months is $6,500, and then for the 6-month journey is $10,000, because you get me in your back pocket, and we really do go into the depths of what it is specifically you need. Like for every session, we'll do a coaching session before going on to the transformational journey, a deep healing journey. So we really do get to the nitty-gritty of what you need.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing that, Yani.
You're
I
so
mean, I will
welcome.
definitely put all those details out, and thank you so much for the part scholarship. Like, so thoughtful of you. Thank
Yay!
you.
You're
Didn't
so
know you were going to pull that
welcome.
one out.
Yeah. I love giving, being generous, and like I know what it's like at the beginning of my journey, and like investing in myself because I didn't love myself is such a resistance. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, like, am I worthy of this investment, right? But yeah,
Mm.
would spend so much money on drugs and alcohol and all the other things and would always make money for that. And it's just so funny. As soon as we get clear on what it is that we truly value and who we want to become, we can always make it work. Always.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming on the show today, Yani. It's been so good having you here. I just
You're
wanted
so
to
welcome.
ask the last question, which
Yeah.
was, looking back at your journey, what are you most proud of, and what message do you hope to share with others through your work and your story?
Mm. I'm most proud of never giving up, because it's always going to be a bit challenging. And, especially with addiction, there will be thoughts and like there will be dreams. And it's about sitting in the discomfort of that emotion, of that feeling, and again, speaking about it. Like anytime I had a dream about using or not using, being around it, I would always tell my partner, and I would be like, oh, I had a dream about it last night, and not make it mean anything. Again, it's like our dreams are always alchemizing for us, but it's about being truthful. And I'm super proud of myself for, as soon as I said that lie to the public and I embodied the truth frequency, I have never lied. Yeah, that was my only line. That I'm completely an open book. I embody the truth frequency. I'm going on the journey to love myself more and more every day. And unconditional love just means loving all parts of yourself, which includes the shadow aspects and the light, which includes all your emotions. It's just about being your fully expressed self without any judgments. Yeah. Loving each and every part of yourself. And yeah, I guess I'm just super proud of myself for stepping into my fully expressed self and letting go of all judgments. Nothing to prove, nothing to hide, nothing to fix, and following my passion. And this is like my purpose. Like, I absolutely love empowering women. I love allowing them to feel the unconditional love that is always available to everybody when we connect into divine source, when we connect into our soul, and to feel higher states of joy within our being. And that is my mission, for everyone to feel joy, yeah, and love and deeper connections and intimacy. And as I continue on my journey, learning and growing, I will always be sharing my wisdom that I gather along the way. So, my message is to never give up, be proud of yourself for who you are, and just take one step at a time, because the staircase is forever. But if you just look down at your feet, you just got to take one step, and that creates the journey.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm
Mm.
proud of you too. I think you've done an incredible job to be where you are today. And I mean, it wasn't an easy journey, but you're here, you fucking made it. And
Yay.
I'm so, so proud. So proud of you.
Thanks, babe. Same as you. I'm so proud of everything that you have created. Women empowering women. Whoop, whoop.
Oh, thank you
Oh,
again for coming on the show. This has been such a great chat. And I'll speak to you soon, girl.
so much love. Mwah. Thanks, beautiful.
Bye.
Bye.